nub of ginger. Good morning. You're watching Much Ado About Something, and I'm Donna. And today I wanted to share with you how I use Usnea. Well, it's a cool morning, a little bit overcast. We'll have to see what is going on later today, how things turn out. Well, the tulips are nearing the end of their bloom. Walking out here, I wanted to share with you, when we were little, we used to forage in the woods. And there was something that we always looked for that was important. And that's this little thing right here. Now, I remember foraging for this in the woods and us finding it and being so happy and just plucking it off and putting it in our shirts, you know, making a little basket out of our shirt in the front, folding it up and just filling the front of our shirts full of this Usnea. And I have memories of using it, but I wasn't always sure what it was. I have just now researched it more to be able to share it with you. What this old man's beard, we collected. You can see how it grows right here. This would just be a little stubbly beard, wouldn't it? Now, since researching, I have saw people that have long strands of this Usnea. Very long strands that does look like a beard. But this is about the size that we are used to harvesting right here. Now, to come to find out, Usnea is actually it's a lichen. You know, I think I harvested some in one of my earlier videos, and I showed you what it was, and I remember harvesting it as a child, but I wasn't sure what it was. I always thought it was a moss, a type of moss. But to come to find out, it's a mix of an algae and a fungi. A fungi. And this little lichen plant that you can gather right here has antibacterial, antifungal, and antiviral properties. Well, we got to go to my family's property. My sister and her husband there up in the Appalachian Mountains, and we were able to harvest some more Usnea. Now, Usnea takes a long time to grow. And that's why I guess when we find it, it's not the very, very, very long strands that you see in places that people are not harvesting from often. I doing a video, I watched a doctor, and she showed where they get their lichen, and there was just strands, the strands of this lichen, of this old man's beard, this Usnea, was as long as a horse's tail. I mean, it was some long strands of Usnea. But this is about the longest we see around here. It's about the longest we see where we harvest our Usnea. Now, you saw this morning, I used a little bit of Usnea in my tea. I put it in my tea this morning. I put it in this little tea ball, and I'm diffusing it right along with my regular tea and a little bit of ginger this morning. Now, the reason I'm doing that is our babies have had the sniffles. Our little grandbabies that we keep have been sniffling. They've had runny noses and they've had things going on, and I don't want to catch that. So I'm putting a little Usnea in my tea because it's antibacterial, antifungal, and antiviral. I'm going to use the benefits of that this morning in my tea. Now, I am familiar with Usnea because I grew up where it grew, where it was abundant. We would find it on little sticks when we were little, like this, and we thought it was beautiful. I always loved the color of it and the uniqueness of it. And it would just be all over sticks, and we would gather it. But now that I'm older, I wanted to research this more, because rather than somebody making up things and me taking it, I wanted to know what really are the benefits of this. Why do we even gather this? What about it makes it so special and useful in today's time? I have this medical herbalism book. I, of course, looked it up in here. I researched it on YouTube and my other medical herb books. And so I've spent time to find out the qualities of Usnea and how I can use it in my everyday life now. The active ingredient in Usnea is usnic acid, and it's found in a number of lichens. This one just happened to be the one that was around when we grew up. There are other things that look like this Usnea, so it's always good to educate yourself on what you're actually harvesting. It shuts down bacteria's energy system internally and externally. In World War II, Usnea was used. It was made into a tea, much like I'm making right here, to drink. And then they would rub it on skin rashes. They would stuff the Usnea in wounds, open wounds, to stop bleeding and to prohibit bacterial growth, because it's an antibacterial. So this was a very useful herb in the beginning of our country's forming, and probably way beyond that, right? But it is good for wounds. It's good for externally making a tea and rubbing on inflamed rashes. Now, I'm not a doctor. You know, I'm not a certified anything. I grew up seeing this common herb and harvesting this. And I wanted to share with you how it can be used today, and just share this unique lichen, this unique growth with you. This algae and fungi, both mixed together plant. this long string that has this long string of fungi that has an algae that grows on the outside of it. And it grows on dead hardwoods or dead woods. You'll find it when you go to the woods or an area where it grows. I'm an Appalachian in the city. Now what I'm doing here with this Usnea is I'm going to make a tincture out of what I've got here. I'm going to save a little bit of the dried Usnea that I've got. I'm going to save it for putting a little bit in tea every now and then. This is not something that you would drink as pleasure. It's not a tea that you would drink on a daily basis, just like you wouldn't take an antibiotic on a daily basis. It's not something that you need to take like that. This is just something that you would incorporate into your, if you needed medicinal properties of this, which is antibiotic, antiviral. And antifungal. If you had some issue going on, like my little grandkids with the runny noses and the things that they've been having going on, I put a little Usnea in there because I don't want that runny nose. I don't want, I'm taking this for, because, I felt a little like I was starting to feel bad from that, like I was catching that, and I didn't want that. So this is why I'm taking some Usnea in my tea this morning. And I've dried this out, and what I'm doing here is, because Usnea grows on dead wood and it grows the way that it does, when you harvest it, sometimes when you harvest the Usnea, it pulls off little pieces of the wood, so like you might have to trim that off. And it'll have other stuff sticking in it that you don't want in your tincture, or it'll have different kinds of mosses that you don't want in your tincture. Like here is a moss that you don't want. You just want the Usnea, the old man's beard. You don't want all this other bark and stuff necessarily in your tincture or in your tea. And so that's what I've been doing here. I've been taking this pile of Usnea off this plate and trimming off these little ends and picking it clean. And just getting the part of the herb that we want. To store and to use. And so that's what I'm doing right here. I'm just cleaning through it a bit. This is a tincture that I've already got made. The Usnea Old Man's Beard Tincture Alcohol, 80 proof. And I put the date on here that I made this, which was not long ago. But you can see in there, if you don't get all of this little bark and stuff out, it will show, it will be in there. Let's see, there's some of the little barks in places. This bark that this tree grows in is not going to hurt this tincture. But you want to try and get all of that out as much as you possibly can, so that it's not in your tincture, that it's clean and you're just getting the purest form of the lichen that you can to use it in a herbal remedy. But that's what I'm going to do with this today. I'm going to make a tincture out of part of this. I'm going to save just a little bit of it for tea. And then I'm going to put the rest of this in this bottle here and make a tincture from it. This is a amber kind of colored jar. That's actually the jars that I like best. These are jars that I saved from sauce, pasta sauce. I saved these jars. I like to reuse them. They're a good size. But you can use whatever jar you have. Just make sure it's clean and sterilized. And I'm going to use this one next. I'm going to pack this about at least 3/4 full, and then loosely pack it so that the menstruum that I'm putting in it, the vodka, when it goes in, it will penetrate and go around. And this Usnea is pretty, it's, pretty tough. It's not, it stretches a little bit, and then it is not easily broken up. I've got scissors here, and I may cut some of this up so that I'll get more of the properties out of this Usnea through the alcohol extraction. There are properties in the Usnea that come out through alcohol extraction and through water. You can simmer this. How I usually make a concoction from it is I'll take the tincture that's already set for 3 to 6 weeks, at least 6 weeks usually, and I'll simmer that. I'll take equal amounts of water to the alcohol that I drain out of this, or that comes off of this, and I'll add equal amount of water to it, and I'll simmer it until it's down half. And that's a concoction, and you'll just take that by the drops or by the teaspoons, or half a teaspoon or so. And so that's the 3 ways that I use it. Make a tea, a tincture, which you can use by the drops, and also a concoction. And you just take that. Really, it would depend on size and weight and how much you need. You can just take, I usually take like a teaspoon of it if I have something that's really, really I'm trying to fight. And you can look up the properties of this usnic acid that's in this old man's beard and see how it might benefit you and see how you can use it. It's something that's locally available to most people. It grows on dead wood, and if you have any kind of woods in your family, it grows in pretty much all weathers. I think they even find it in the desert sometimes. But the thing about it is it's it's versatile, and it's mild. It's a mild and a gentle form of an antibiotic that won't upset your gut health. And if you don't take too much of it, it shouldn't bother any of that. It shuts down the bacteria's energy system, and that's how that usnic acid works. And you wouldn't want to drink this tea all the time. You would probably just drink this tea when you had an issue where you might need an antibiotic. It's good for internally or externally. It's just a good little herb to have on hand. It's an immune system booster, and really good for your respiratory tract. This mix of algae and fungi is interesting. I think the fungi part of it is in the string of it. The fungi part is right here. It's the long part that grows, and then the algae just grows on the outside of that fungus. But isn't that a beautiful, interesting looking lichen? Isn't that amazing? I think it is. It's amazing. Now I'm going to take the scissors and cut up my Usnea. I want to cut it up to expose more surface for the alcohol to extract the usnic acid out of it. And then I'm going to pack it in this jar. We kind of have to cut it up a little bit because these cell walls of this lichen are tough. They're just... And of course, maybe in your area, it may be growing very much longer than what I have here. This is just how it grows here. In our area, in the place where we forage, my brother-in-law and Donald foraged this lichen for us over the weekend. We were able to go out there and get out some and do some foraging and see what's coming up. It's spring, so there's a lot of good stuff coming up. Now, this lichen grows up in the top of the trees. You know, you can stand back and see it all up there, especially on specific dead trees or on specific trees. You can just see where it's loaded with this lichen. But they actually found a lot that where the limbs had blowed down, there was a lot of this growing down on broken limbs, which made it easier to harvest. You didn't have to climb the tree. And they got plenty of it. They got as much as we'll be needing to do what we need to do for this year. Now, there's many plants that have antibacterial properties. There's many different herbs, you know, that will do. And it's always a good thing to experiment with the herbs and see which one works best for you. Just like different medications have different effects on people, than different herbs are also have different effects. So research, you know, your history, which will be different from anybody else's history. You want to make sure you find out what's best for you. Talk to any medical professionals or anybody you need to in the decision part of taking care of your health. Always research, even if it's something you've used for, you know, you grew up seeing people use. Always research what is going on, the properties and things, and what's going on at different stages of your life. I just wanted to share with you this beautiful lichen that I grew up with and always thought was so beautiful, and harvested when I was young, and then grew up to find out why it's such a great lichen, why you might want this in your medicine cabinet or in your herbal cabinet, your apothecary. I wanted to share that with you today. I thank you for joining me today here at Much Ado About Something, and let me share with you this this beautiful lichen, this beautiful antibacterial remedy. I hope this helped you in some way. I hope it was an encouragement to get out and find out about natural herbal remedies, you know, that might be gentler on us and may affect us in a milder, better way. Thank you for letting me share this with you. And like always, until next time.